Hello everyone and good day. So for today's video, we'll be talking about the 10 most important Tagalog poets of the 20th century. So the first one on the list, we have Lope K. Santos, followed by Valeriano Hernandez Peña. Third one, we have Pedro Gatmaitan, followed by Jose Corazon de Jesus, Florentino Colantes, Amado V. Hernandez, Sirio H. Panganiban, Jose Garcia Villa, Jose Villa Panganiban, and last but not least, Alejandro G. Abadilla. Does anyone ring a bell for you? So we'll be talking about their biography, so everyone stay tuned as we discuss these prominent Tagalog poets of the 20th century.
Centuries before the Spaniards came, the Filipinos already had their own culture, traditions, folklore, mythologies, and epics. There were substantial writings by early natives that Jesuit historian Father Chirino noted. All of the islanders are much given to reading and writing, and there is hardly a man, much less a woman, who did not read and write. The history of Philippine poetry can be divided into four periods: pre-colonial, oral tradition, Spanish colonial influences, English influences during the U.S. colonial period, and contemporary poetry after independence. Pre-colonial poetry included epic poems and songs that conveyed local history and culture. During the Spanish colonization, Christian themes emerged alongside the traditional forms. And under U.S. rule, English became dominant and poets published in magazines abroad. Contemporary poetry explores native themes with influences from American modernism and political activism against authoritarian regimes.
The first one on the list is Mr. Lope K. Santos. He was born on September 25, 1879 and he died on May 1, 1963. He was a Filipino Tagalog language writer. He is the man behind the newspaper titled Kaliwanagan. He is best known for his 1906 socialist novel entitled The Banaag at Sikat, which was then considered as the first socialist book in the Philippines that expounded the principles of socialism and sought labor reforms within the country. His book became an inspiration for the 1932 Socialist Party of the Philippines, and it was also considered as the book of inspiration for the 1946 Hukbalahap movement. Santos also contributed to the development of Filipino grammar of Tagalog orthography through his work, Balirala, Wikang Pambansa.
Banaag at Sikat. An excerpt. Nagluwal ng sanggol si Manny at pinabinyagan. May dumating na isang kabligrama na nagbalitang si Don Ramon ay napatay ng kanyang utusan. Kasama sa nagatid si Ruperto na nagsabi kay Felipe na kaya pinatay si Don Ramon ay dahil sa kalupitan nito.
Lope K. Santos is notable for his literary works. But have you ever wondered what kind of poetry he practices?
Lope K. Santos is known as a novel writer, but when it comes to poetry, Santos is an expert in Lupluhan, a form of poetical debate during that time. Lupluhan can be compared to Balagtasan, which became popular half a century before Santos' time. He also founded Sampaguita, a weekly lifestyle magazine. Second on the list, we have Valeriano Hernandez Peña, born on December 12, 1858 and died on September 7, 1922. He is acknowledged as the father of the Tagalog novel. He is also known as Tandang Anong by his fellow poets and has a pen name Kuntil Butil. He was a fiction writer. His notable novel that is considered as one of his masterpieces was Si Nena at Si Neneng. Aside from that, his notable poetic works includes Luha ng Panulat. Luha ng Panulat, an excerpt. Sa lahat ng luhay, iyan ang masaklap, ngunit di mapigil ang kanyang pagpatak, na idinaramay sa balang pag-iyak, nang nagdurusang sinawi ng palad.
What kind of writing style did Valeriano Hernandez Peña practice?
A. His writing style is writing minimal narrative similar to the early Tagalog short fiction called dali or pagsingaw or sketch.
Next on the list, we have Pedro Gatmaitan. Pedro Gatmaitan, born on June 10, 1889, and died on June 10, 1965. Pedro Gatmaitan, his work delves into themes such as love, nature, Filipino cultures, and suicidal issues, showcasing a rich exploration of the human experience through the lens of Filipino language and life. Bayaning Plaridel, an excerpt. Mabuti na iyong daglimong pagdating sa bayan ng mga walang mapang-iring, sa bayang ang tuway di nangungulimlim, palibhasa dito sa lupa, mong taloy walang madidinig kundi ang pagdaing. Daing na isa pang sa iyong panindim ay magiging lasong hindi maaatim.
Pedro Gatmaitan is a notable Filipino Tagalog poet, but did you know his writing styles?
Gatmaitan style? It's like a mixtape of poetic genres with a dash slapstick of comedy with some absurdity thrown in for good measure.
Next, we have Jose Corazon de Jesus. Jose Corazon de Jesus, born on November 22, 1894 and died on May 26, 1932, also known by his pen name Joseng Batote, was a Filipino poet who used Tagalog poetry to express the Filipino desire for independence during the American occupation of the Philippines, a period that lasted from 1901 to 1946. He is best known for the Hari ng Balagtasan, and for being the lyricist of the Filipino patriot song Bayan Ko. Bayan ko, anigsan. Pilipinas kong minumutya. Pugad ng luha ko't talita. Aking adita. Makita kang sakdal, laya.
Jose Corazon de Jesus, also known as Joseng Sisiu, is the king of Balagtas. Do you want to know his writing styles?
Jose Corazon de Jesus, his poetry is melodic and poetic, and he is considered a prominent literary figure among the older generation of writers. He also gained popularity for his lyrical joust with his foremost opponent, Florentino Colantes.
Next is Florentino T. Collantes. He was born on October 16, 1896 and died July 15, 1951. Florentino T. Collantes was a Filipino poet who was among the writers who spearheaded a revival of interest in Tagalog literature in the Philippines in the 20th century. His interest in poetry led him to write the defunct Tagalog publications Buntot Pagi, Pagkakaisa, and Watawat. Some of his works includes Ang Magsasaka, Pangarap sa Bagong Kasal, Mahalin ang Atin, Ang Tulisan. But his most memorable work is Ang Lumang Simbahan, which was so popular that he expanded it into a novel that was later turned into a movie. Ang Lumang Simbahan. Sa isang maliit at ulilang bayan, pinagtampuhan na ng kaligayahan, ay may isang munti at tumang simbahang balot na ng lumot ng kapanahunan. Sa gawing kaliwa, may lupang tiwangwang, ginubat ng damot, makahiyang-hiyang parang. Sa dami ng kuros doong nagbabantay, makikilala, munguyaon ay libingan.
As the literary rival of Joseng Sisiu, do you know what kind of poetry did he practice?
Florentino Collantes displayed an avid interest in literature and memorized epic poems in Spanish or corridos and Tagalog awits. He is known to have committed to memory long excerpts on the Passion of Jesus Christ, known as Passion, and as a poet, he was also a skilled practitioner of Duplo.
The next one is Amado V. Hernandez, born on September 13, 1903 and died on March 24, 1970. Was dubbed as the poet of the laborers and was known for his notable poems such as Isang Bitang Langit, Panata ng Kalayaan, at Ang Panday. The Ateneo de Manila University awarded him its first Tanglaw ng Lahi Award. He was posthumously honored as National Artist for Literature in 1973. Ang Panday, an excerpt. Kaputol na bakal na kislap may wala, ang kahalagahan ay di matingkala. Ginawang araro pang buhay ng madla, ginawang sandata pananggol ng bansa.
Amado V. Hernandez is a national artist in the literature in the Philippines, but let's take a closer look into his writing style.
Hey! Hernandez's writing style is considered as Tagalog prose. He stripped Tagalog of its ornate character and wrote in prose closer to a colloquial than the official style permitted.
Next on the list, we have H. Panganiban. Panganiban was born on June 15, 1926 and died on January 5, 1999. Panganiban was a prolific Filipino writer whose poetry often captures the essence of everyday experiences, imbued with a sense of lyricism and depth that fascinates the readers.
Manika, an excerpt. Ikaw, para kang hiwaga, ang sabi ng aking inang nimumutya. Ikaw raw ang kanyang matandang manika. Aywan ko kung tunay ang sabi ni inang.
Sir H. Panganiban is a prolific Filipino writer. But do you know what kind of poetry he practices?
Panganiban's poetry style? You wouldn't believe it. He's like a magical wizard reciting his magical tricks in a library. You think you're just reading the usual verses, but then, out of nowhere, you'll realize it. He's already taking you into the vast cosmos of creativity.
Jose Garcia Villa was born on August 5, 1908 and died February 7, 1997, a Filipino poet, literary critic, short story writer, and painter. He was awarded the National Artist of the Philippines title for literature in the 1973, as well as the Guggenheim Fellowship in Creative Writing by Conrad Aiken.
Wika ng Diyos, gumawa ako ng tao. An excerpt. Wika ng Diyos, gumawa ako ng tao. Mula sa putik, sa kislap niya sarili inikit, sa ningning na nakaliliyo.
Do you want to know what poetry style did Jose Garcia Villa practice?
Jose Garcia Villa is best known as modernist poet and Philippine literature, whose experiments and audacity brought him both notoriety and fame.
Second to the last Filipino poet on the list is Jose Villa Panganiban. Was born on June 12, 1903 and died on October 13, 1972. His writings often focused on language, culture, and education, reflecting his passion for advancing Filipino language and identity.
Isip tao. An excerpt. Nadukal ng tao ang laman ng lupa, naaarok ang lihim ng dagat at sapa, at natunton pati ang landas ng tanah, subalit ang langit ay daan ng lupa.
So what is Jose Villa Panganiban's writing style?
Jose Villa Panganiban's writing style was characterized by its clarity, precision, and academic rigor. As a linguist and lexicographer, his prose was often scholarly and technical, reflecting his expertise in the field of Philippine linguistics.
Alejandro G. Abadilla, born on March 10, 1906 and died on August 26, 1969, was a Filipino poet, essayist, and fiction writer. Critic Pedro Ricarte referred him as the father of modern Philippine poetry, and was known for challenging established forms and literature's excessive romanticism and emphasis of rhyme and meter. Ako ang daigdig, an excerpt. Ako, ang malayang ako, matapat sa sarili, sa aking daigdig ng tula.
Being hailed as a father of Philippine modern poetry, do we know what is the poetry writing style of Alejandro G. Abadilla?
His style was characterized by its bold experimentation with language, form, often breaking traditional rules of poetry to create innovative and provocative works.
So guys, that wraps it up. Those are our 10 most prominent Tagalog poets in the 20th century. So these are poets that has contributed a lot that makes them prominent in our Philippine literature. So I do hope that we do keep them in mind, honor their works as they have contributed to the development of our Philippine modern literature. So, till the next video, I'll see you again. Goodbye! But wait! There's more! So far, we have mentioned these poets from the 20th century. But we forgot. We still have more. Some national artists, prominent literature poets in the late 20th century. So to honor them, some of them, and give credit, we still have our top 3. Honorable mention, poets of the Tagalog in the late 20th century. So here's our first one.
First honorable mention, Virgilio Sinadren Almari, born on March 9, 1944, is better known by his pen name Rio Alma. He is a Filipino author, poet, critic, teacher, translator, editor, and cultural manager. He is a national artist for literature in the Philippines. He formerly served as the chairman of the Komisyon sa Wikang Pilipino o KWF. His earliest pieces of literary criticism were collected in Ang Makata sa panahon ng Makina 1972, now considered the first book of literary criticism in Filipino. Almario has been a recipient of the numerous awards such as Palangka Awards, 2 grand prizes for the Cultural Center of the Philippines, the Makata ng Taon of Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino, the Outstanding Young Man o TOYM for the Literature, and the Southeast Asia Right Award of Bangkok.
Second honorable mention, Rolando S. Tino, born in March 5, 1937 and passed away on July 7, 1997. Tino was a prolific Filipino writer known for his exceptional contributions to literature, theater, and film. He began his writing career as a poet, playwright, and essayist, garnering acclaim for his poignant exploration of Filipino culture, history, and identity. Tino's works often showcase his mastery of language, whether in Tagalog or English, and his profound insights into the human condition. He is a national artist for literature in the Philippines in the year 1997.
So the third honorable mention, we have Carlos P. Romulo. He was born in January 14, 1899 and died on December 15, 1985. Carlos P. Romulo, a distinguished Filipino writer and diplomat, rose to prominence through his insightful journalism and eloquent speeches. From his early career as a journalist covering World War II to his diplomatic service, Romulo's literary talent shone through his poetry, essay, and speeches, which often focus on nationalism and Filipino identity. Contributions to both diplomacy solidified his legacy as a global leader and a beacon of Filipino